A new era begins in iRacing. $26 drivers, $25,000. This is the Force Dynamics Dallara iRacing Grand Prix Championship. Tithings paid, everybody set, 75% of the lap on full throttle. This is Monza and round 4 of the Force Dynamics Dallara iRacing Grand Prix Championship. As we move on in, I'm Jake Sperry, joined alongside by Peter Mackay and Kenneth Bueno for all the action. Kenneth, this place is magnificent. We're 9 miles out from Milan, and this is all about speed.
It is all about speed, Jake. And when you come to a track like this, such a historic venue, you bring in these very quick Dallara IR01s with the best in the world. It means it is a combination of success, a combination of a lot of fun, and maybe some strategy along the way, with the high-speed action ready to go for us.
Absolutely, and what a circuit it is. 5.79 kilometers, 11 turns worth of action. Peter, you've been getting a good eagle's eye around this amazing circuit. Tell us just what makes this place so special.
Well, this is a historic circuit here at Monza, nearly 100 years old. And this was really Italy's answer to Brooklands and Indianapolis. That's where it gets its name, the Temple of Speed. And well, these Dallara IR01s are perfectly fitted for such a speed bowl track. 900 horsepower, 600 kilograms, the perfect machine for this iconic Grand Prix venue. And well, it's going to throw up a cracker tonight, I think.
Certainly is going to throw up a cracker. We are here in Monza's National Park here, or what you could say it's Royal Park here today. Some amazing overtaking opportunities. The Rettifilo turn 1, the Roggia turns 4 and 5, all the way up to Ascari there, the left, right, left, and then the Curva Alboreto, the brand new name for this amazing race. But let's take ourselves to the grid then, see how everybody managed to sort themselves out in qualifying. Peter Berryman, the championship leader on countback, mind you, is on all for this one, 119.131. Michele Costantini alongside, and Lozanor trying to recover in third. Keep an eye on Johan Haas. He's there in 5th position, tied on points at the top of the championship. Has been on the podium every round this season. Matteo Galotti's looking good. New team, or no team, we should say, for Marcus Jensen. And there is Sam Keitert there on the left-hand side. Andreas Henkel driving in VR on the outside of row number 6 in 12th position. We look back, there's been some good qualifyings a little bit lower down. Kane Halliburton's looked really good, 19.828 there, with Jose Soria, and the wannabe sim racing car there of David Toth is going to be someone worth seeing through the later stages of this race. We know it's going to be a more aggressive start to this one as you look a little bit further down through the final couple of rows of the grid. You've got the likes, of course, there of Alejandro Del Campo. Omar Bahar is there. Cedric Beals looking for an opportunity to really push on forward. And, of course, the final 2 drivers did not set a lap time out there in qualifying. They will have work to do today in this one, the 26th. Going through. We know the final 2 did not put down a representative time, so they have not been shown on this grid, but they have themselves the time and opportunity. So one of the few circuits that had itself built with an oval in mind, some legendary circuit there, as you can see the run from the Seraglio. Here's the points. It's tied on points between Berryman and Haas, because Berryman's got a race win. He's on top. Costantini is third. Martin van Lozenoord there in 4th position. You can see that only 3 drivers so far this season have had a top 10 finish in every race. So that's going to be something to worth keep in mind as everyone looks to score big points early on. Who is going to put themselves in the best possible position? That run to the Rettifilo is going to be key. You know that everyone could just have that massive crush into that section. It's the slowest point on the track. 43 laps a day. We believe it's a 2-stop race, and let's get ourselves into position. How aggressive the drive is going to be, and there's the green flag, and we are underway. It's a slow start from the second row there. Ben Fuller, I believe it is, dropping back as they charge down towards the Rettifilo for the first time. One car with 2 tyres on the grass there, trying to make that charge in, and as they go through, Berryman is okay at the moment. Van Loozenhoorn there in 3rd position. You can see there, one of the RAG cars trying to go around the outside. That's not going to pay off. We are clean through the first section, and Peter, that is exactly the start that everyone was hoping for. They run to the Rogia.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from all the drivers up the front there as well, because these cars are so wide that it's really difficult to get through. A few lockups there, brakes and tyres still cold. The drivers are going to have to keep an eye out for that early on.
Oh, they were 3 wide going into the Rogia there, and that could have very easily have ended in disaster. But these are elite wheelers of machines. They've done well as they go on through. And someone in the background's off there. I think it's one of the racecraft cars, and there's a big crush there. Tops around in the wannabe car. You've got the likes there in trouble. Kane Halliburton, Andreas Henkel, Jarl saying mid-pack is always going to be dangerous off the start, Kenneth.
It was a big mess coming out of the Lesmo corners. One of them went around, 2 of them went off track, and then more cars got collected in it. It's Todd, Halliburton, Lockwood, all 3 of them involved in the first incident on lap 1. Meanwhile, for everybody else, though, it seems to be single file. They're clean for the first lap of this race.
They certainly are, and now they've got to get into that draft range at this stage. Front 4 look good. Berryman leads. Costantini in 2nd. It's Van Loozenhoorn 3rd. In 4th is Johan Hath. And there was a little look back there, 5th and 6th, as Ben Fuller and Przemysław Lemonek look to try and fight hard for places here. This is going to be something key, Kenneth, that we see through this race. What does the Force Dynamics race analysis tell of this track today?
Well, with this track, Jake, we're looking at a lot of high-speed action, which means you're going to be burning a lot of fuel. Fuel window is going to be the main concern for these drivers here today because it's about 15 to 17 laps. Drivers said 17 is almost impossible. You need to save all the way in order to make that lap. But 15 is going to be the target. We're going to see drivers make it down pit road, and we're going to see tire compounds also be a factor. Not going to be as much differentiation as Interlagos, but it's going to be hard, medium, depending on which drivers want to change.
It certainly is going to be a tough challenge. 5 at the front. Valentin Mandanak on the back. We focus there on the STK gaming car there of Michele Costantini. Home race today, Peter, for Michele. You could say a virtual home soil means added emphasis on today.
It does, that's for sure. Monza, of course, means so much to Italian motor racing fans, especially those who are fans of the Scuderia Ferrari. Of course, no Ferraris in this race, all Dallaras, although there are a few crossovers between those 2 companies over the years. But I want to make a mention for the number 46 of Valentin Mandernack. He's done a great job to pull his way forward and make sure that he's in this leading group as well, because he needs to be there to back up Martin Van Loozenhoorn in 3rd. So all of the up until this point, really, it's been the Apex Racing group and the SDK Gaming group against Martin Van Loozenhoorn, this man on screen in the 69. He's kind of been on his own and he needs some help out front.
Oh, and you can hear he's just clutched there as we were on board with him. So it tells you how much he's actually trying to fuel save in the early stages of this race. He's grabbing the clutch now as he's going into the brakes into the likes of Della Rogia. This is the sort of track where it is a lot easier here, Kenneth, than other places to go and play the fuel save game. This is going to be a really tactical race.
It is very tactical, and with this track, you can kind of compare it to Spa a couple of weeks ago where we had a lot of long straights, which gave the opportunity for drivers to kind of save a bit of fuel, hang into the slipstream, and then maybe not as use much throttle, maybe not push as hard as other drivers would throughout the opening segments of this race. And you saw with Loozenhoorn there, if he's going to be able to save at this portion of the race, that's going to add maybe an extra lap, maybe half a lap, and that could make the difference when we go into strategy.
Yeah, let's take a little look a little bit further back then down. This is the fight for 14th. James Shapinska, who's got an Dallara IR01 out there as Ben Fuller sets the fastest lap of the race. There is Marcos Nunez there with him, who has just got through. Alejandro Del Campo just behind. The S2V machine of Gio Cortese trying to get into the mix as well. A little bit of battling there behind in the back as they go in towards turn 1. A little move just in front as well was Jorge Martinez getting past Marbaha. But Peter, an important battle here in the mid-scrap. This is the fight for the final point. Top 15 score, of course.
Yeah, that's been an important battle throughout the season as well. Even some drivers have had a difficult start to the race getting into that top 15. We've seen some great recovery drives as well, not giving up until the very last moment. And, well, as we get towards the end of the season, a 10-round championship, there's lots to play for, not only in prize money, but also making sure you get your invite for future events as well. But at the moment, Martin van Lozenord looking very, very comfy right now behind Michele Costantini. So this is working out perfectly. I wonder, we've seen great cooperation so far between the Apex Racing and STG Gaming cars. Of course, they work under the same outfit. It's really important that they work together, and they have done really well so far. And we might see Peter Berriman and Michele Costantini swapping at this point.
Yeah, let's get a little look at the start and see just how it went wrong for a number of drivers. Look how aggressive Ugolotti was trying to get those changes of direction as they ran into the Rettifilo for the first time. It's a very narrow conjoining section. It's almost like trying to fold up an accordion as you go through. The issue wasn't necessarily at the start of the race, Kenneth. It was over at the two Lesmo corners where the incidents occurred.
Yeah, you saw a bit of contact there out of the opening chicane, but you'll see the second chicane, not that big of a difference. Everybody's single file. There was a 3-wide move in just a couple of moments. That was Przemysław Lemonek that he tried to make it 3. He was able to make the pass, but then watch this. Lesmo corners, everybody goes to the right-handers. There's the drivers in the midfield. They're trying to get underway. They go into the corner. Some contact ensues, and right about here, the slam. One driver goes off track, other goes into the inside barrier, and then multiple get collected as they careen across the racetrack.
Looked like Andreas Henkel there wasn't expecting such a checkup for the 2-wide battle in front. That caused the chain reaction for the incident to occur, and that's going to be crucial the longer that this race goes on, that drivers who get themselves involved in incidents are going to drop back. Now is it's a group of 4 and a group of 3 now here, Peter, at the front. I've been keeping an eye on fastest lap. Ben Fuller managed to pick that up, and he picked it up trying to get into contact with the leading group of this race. Now we've got a little bit of scrapping going on as Ben Fuller very nearly there, getting the move done on Valentin Mandanark. Wasn't going to quite make that happen. There's a look at Peter Berriman from behind. Once again, he's as stoic and as calm as ever.
He is a mark of serenity, isn't he, Peter Berriman? He just looks like he's driving down the shops for a pint of milk. And that, he's got a spinner. Oh, good spot. Omar Baha at the first chicane, it looks like. And did he manage to keep it out the barrier? I'm not sure if he did.
I think he tagged it late as he was trying to get that car flick spun around. So not a good idea there for Omar Baha. He's been struggling a little bit this season, and he'll have to try and do all of that work again to move up through the order. So how is this going to be in terms of this race? And we're talking as well here, Kenneth, about drivers on strategy. And it is worth noting that 2 drivers today have started on the medium compound tyre and not the hard compound.
Well, Jake, there were a handful of drivers that did start on the medium tires. That does include Sam Quaiter in the 28 machine, Kane Halliburton in his machine, Brian Lockwood, and Jorge Martinez in his machine as well. Although obviously Lockwood and the other driver in that group in Halliburton, they got into the incident on the first lap. As you look at Omar Baha, his incident into the first chicane. These drivers did start on medium, so the 28 and the 32 should be drivers to watch out on, especially when we move forward in strategy.
Oh, and you just see a move there as Valentin Mandanark and his group start to trip over each other there. Lemonek's now got a good run, as we see here, this top 3 now who have got themselves away. Van Lozenord in 3rd position now. It's Johan Hart who's starting to fall backwards into the clutches then of the second group. And there is James Shapinska's IR01 out there on track. And the Aviators, of course, still back on here, Peter, but the key is Lockwood's got the fastest lap. Now, it was James Shapinska, of course, who got caught in that accident with Omar Baha. Both drivers you'd feel in that stage were both trying to go for that same look out to the inside at the Rettifilo.
Yeah, it's a part where you're basically braking from the very top of top gear all the way down to the very bottom of bottom gear in these cars. You're scrubbing off a huge amount of speed, so it just needs the tiniest misjudgment and it can end up being quite messy. We saw that in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup last season, where Sebastian Job, defending champion, made a mistake on the brakes, and that triggered quite a big accident, so it can be done very, very easily. Now, I think Johan Hart has made a mistake at some point, because he did drop back into that sort of second group as well. He was looking really good, looking really comfy behind Van Lozenord, but now has it all to do again, and this could actually push Mandernack now into that front group.
Well, this is the issue here, Kenneth, that you see with these drivers as Brian Lockwood, a lap down, now has the fastest lap of the race so far. The key here for Mandernack is he's having to push to try and defend against Johan Hart, who wants to make the moves on the straight. What that does is it means that Mandernack's going faster is actually closing up the gap to Martin van Loozenhoorn. It's not what Van Loozenhoorn wants. He wants a race where he can just go after Costantini and Berryman and just focus on his own race. He can't do that if his own teammates chasing him down.
Well, at this point, Jake, I figure that, like we mentioned at the top of the show, where draft is going to be so key, these drivers are kind of on a general consensus of, okay, it's the opening laps of the race. We haven't reached the strategy just yet, so we want to stick into the draft. Valentin Mandernack was told not to overtake. They don't want to lose the draft in this race, and Martin van Loozenhoorn was also part of that as well, wanted to keep Valentin in the draft as well. So although we're seeing multiple drivers move around the racetrack, it's all about keeping themselves within the slipstream and allowing the draft to take them around the racetrack.
The battle of the two Frenchmen as they go. Here comes Johan Hart over towards the inside, trying to pick it up, but it looks like he just bottoms out in a straight line the moment he hits some clean air and tries to get that move. That's when Mandernack's able to pull those 2 or 3 kilometers an hour, Peter, and just pull himself ahead by the time they reach the braking zone. It must be a nightmare here for Johan Hart, being unable to get by the 46.
Yeah, Johan Hart is normally a very calm driver, but you can see his frustration sort of quite clearly on his face, and you can understand that. You can see how quick the drivers have to react behind the wheel. But yeah, Johan Hart is a little bit stuck here as track limit's a little bit stretched there. But yeah, he's a little bit stuck behind Valentin Mandernack. It might not hurt him by the end of the race, but I'm sure it's not where he wants to be. You can tell that by his facial expression. The other point I would make about the setup is a lot of drivers said they were actually sacrificing top-end speed, something you don't normally hear at Monza, in order to get good drive out of the corners. So these Dallara IR1s, they deserve a different setup compared to other cars.
Yeah, they certainly do. If you were wondering what was going on in the background there, Marcus Jensen there, Kenneth, going through the Dallara, very nearly found himself in the wall. He just clipped some gravel coming out of the Roger, and that was the trouble. Here comes the battle again, though, as they move on the front stretch. It's a look to the inside again from Johan Hart. Again, he can't get along to get it done, but in front, it's now a change for the race lead as Michele Costantini gets it done, and Hart from light years away has got it through, and he's actually run into the back ever so slightly there of the driver in third place, Martin van Loozenhoorn.
He was trying to be patient for each and every lap and decided, okay, fine, this is my time to push. He goes to the inside, dive into turn 1, pass it was for the driver of the 90 machine for Apex Racing and moving to 4, but a nice job by Costantini, able to move in front of Peter Berryman for the race lead in turn 1 and diving it deep. Here we'll watch Marcus Jensen, his run through the chicane and up to the Lesmo corners. Seems to be okay through this portion. Left, right. Seems to be rather rhythmic in his case, but actually got way loose out of the corner. Was able to keep it straight. What a job by him. He loses the position on end.
That car had no right to be continuing in a straight line. As there you can see the focus on the face of Marcus Jensen, making that run here, holding back Tamas Shimon in that next group, and Sam Keitert, who is there, looking to try and get a good attempt. But Keitert struggled here on this lap, here on the yellow walled medium tyres. They were expecting there to be a little bit of a struggle streak in the late stages of a stint. If you are on the yellow walled mediums, there'll be questions on when is the right time to come in on those. Not going to come in this lap. It's always very confusing when you see them go down the front stretch, because that line is so similar to taking the natural line or diving into the pits. I think Keitert here, Peter, may be due pretty soon. Hart now with the purple check mark for fastest lap and bonus point.
I think you're right, Jake. I think the medium tyres on Keutert's car are past it, I have to say. So it might be time for him to go by. He had got past Marcus Jensen when he had that moment, but quickly the roles have been reversed again. And Tamas Simone, he's in there in that white number 9 car. He's been a revelation this season as well. He's so quick in the Lotus 79, the classic Grand Prix car we have here on iRacing. And he's really adapted to this much more modern machine so quickly. He's such a talent, the Hungarian.
He was one of the first in the machine getting the practice in, and he will be one of the last in the machine getting the practice out. That is a brilliant work ethic that he has. There's the leading group, and I would say it is a 7 at this stage at the front, because it goes all the way back to Przemysław Lemonek they're in that 7th position, but they know that they're all on the fuel game. They're all trying to make sure they know where they are. They know what strategies are needed at this stage, and it is Michele Costantini on home soil who has the lead at the moment. Berryman just quietly waiting to see whether he wants to go out there, be aggressive or lift. It's very much a lift at this stage in time, but this is another thing as well as they start to try and angle out for those lines into the Rettifilo. Some drivers will be searching just for a bit of space to see what's going on in front, Kenneth. The key's going to be, how much do you want to close up behind someone on a straight? How much can you save at this point?
I think when you go to the long straights, Jake, that's going to be where drivers are going to use it. We saw on the onboard Martin van Lozenoord a little bit earlier that he was clutching. He was being able to save in the first quarter sort of straightaways and heading through the Lesmo straights, and then of course the exit out of Ascari, and of course the exit out of the final corner. But when you get very close, you also have to make sure that drivers in front of you aren't checking up too hard for corners like Ascari or all the chicanes that you're hard braking and heading to the lower gears as you ride on board here with 18th place Alejandro de Campo in the 21 machine, and he's also getting to the slow corners as well. This is his first shot at the second chicane.
Absolutely, we're taking some driver eyes perspectives here at this point in time over towards the very, very quick right-hander that comes along the first of the 2 Lesmo corners. It is very interesting here as we look at Przemysław Lemonek here in 7th position. He's right on the back of this train right now, Peter. He's got the box office seat.
That he does. He's been looking really comfortable, has Przemysław Lemonek, and looking very, very calm, and could be an ideal ally for his teammate Martin van Lozenoord and indeed Valentin Manderdonk. Now they're getting a bit busier, switching positions out front as Jarl Tain. He's got a different view on a VR headset there.
It certainly is. He's definitely driving in 3D. Just getting word that Peter Zuber's had an issue over about a couple of laps ago. That's why he is out of the race. He hasn't scored a point yet in this championship run, and that is continuing on at this stage. Tyan on the brakes into the Rettifilo here in 15th position, holding 1 championship point, and there is the view behind from Michele Costantini, who of course is doing a very, very solid job right now through the 2 Rogiers. Knowing behind is Peter Berryman, a driver he has seen quite a bit over the last couple of races, and then Martin van Lozenoord, who's trying to get his season back on track here today, Kenneth.
Well, you talk about top 3 in Costantini, Berryman, and Van Lozenoord. These are the 3 winners, Jake. And throughout this entire season, we've had 3 different winners, and all 3 of these guys have had their share at victory lane. We talk about Martin van Lozenoord, his win at Watkins Glen. Peter Berryman, his win last week at Interlagos. And of course, Costantini, his very first win came at Spa just 2 weeks ago. So all 3 of them, former race winners, already on their way. They are a dominant force before this first pit stop.
Racing continue as well for Jorge Martinez there, and in VR, Tamas Shimon, number 9, position number 9 right now, and the battle is there with Jensen in front, with Keitert behind, who's done really well actually on the mediums to get them going 14 laps. It is worth noting as well, this might be a track today as we look at the leaders here as they go through. It's very interesting, just a bit behind to keep an eye on. Some of the battles there. Look about 5 back. That's Ben Fuller trying to look for a move. He's not going to quite get there on Valentin Manderdonk. But it is really interesting to see how the mediums are actually holding up. This is the sort of circuit where, because you're going so quick through the laps, you're not actually really, Peter, getting as much wear as maybe we were expecting today.
No, Monza certainly is a circuit that's a lot lighter on tyres, that's for certain. Just been having a look at the lap times. They're really, really quick. Some low 1:21s being put in there as well. And these hard tyres, they do actually come alive towards the end of the stint. So I'm fascinated to see what tyres the drivers put on next, because they know we've got 2 pit stops. We know they might use the medium ones, but do they use it now or do they use it at the end? I honestly couldn't call it either way. It's going to be really cool to see what the drivers decide to do.
Kenneth, you've got some more information on Sam Keitert.
Indeed, I do. The 28 was told, apparently he had told his team that the tires still feel pretty good on the mediums, but he just can't keep pace with the drivers up at the front of the field, and that's a testament to just how long these medium tires lap within the first 10 laps or so, especially here at this track that demands so much out of the rubbers. So he's trying to get the best that he can. He's got P11 so far on the racetrack as he hits down pit road.
Yep, Sam Keitert, the first to come in on the mediums. 15 laps is really, really commendable by that point in time. He was in that second group, but Still, it's a case of chicken here with these first 7. Nobody here, I think, Peter, wants to come down in first and be all on their own. They would have no draft partner to work with, and they wouldn't be able to go and get the attack, the 32 machine of Jorge Martinez down on the pitch from Candas in Spain. That's northern Spain, going through a coastal town out there. But these drivers know they either want to pit with someone or they want to pit with everyone.
Well, that's the game of chess that we have here, the 200-mile-an-hour game of chess that is the Force Dynamics Dallara IRO1 World Championship. And who is going to blink first? Michele Costantini and Peter Berryman have played this one beautifully at the front. They've had that team coordination. They've each taken a turn at the front. I would imagine they will come in together. And that, again, is the importance as Berryman goes in. Is he going to have any allies? No, he isn't.
No, the only person he's going to get is Marcus Jensen and Florian Lebegra, who started all the way from the back in 25th position and got himself up to 10th place. Oh, in that stint, that's Mandanark in the wall there. Valentin Mandanark in the number 46 in big trouble coming into the Retafilo. Just like that, a promising race has gone up in smoke, Kenneth.
And that was in the first chicane, Jay. Going into the corner, Ben Fuller was looking for the move to the inside and then directly got into the back of Mandernach's machine as they were going for the hard braking zone that got into Mandernach. He got sent around, and now he has damage both on the front wing and the rear wing. Take a look at the replay here with the 46. Going into the first corner, seems to be all normal. Then goes Fuller to the inside. Mandernach tries to defend. Bam, shot right there as they're going for the braking zone, and a hard hit for the 46.
Very, very much a carbon copy of what happened to Omar Bahar. It's a case of one driver goes to the middle of the track to defend. Not enough room is given. And with such a heavy braking zone there, that can be the place where a race can go up in smoke. And this is the first real sign we've seen of any issues happening. Now, will these 4 at the front, or 5, I should say, all dive in together? 1, 2, 3, and 4 come in, but it's Van Lozenoord who's staying out for lap 18. That's longer than we expected on the fuel today.
Lap 17 this was, yeah, definitely as far as we thought we could go. Thomas Simone back there in the background, if he can have a quick pit stop, he could get into this leading group and get himself in the fight for a podium place. But Van Lozenoord looks so comfy. We saw him going on the heavy fuel save, so he goes a little bit off strategy. Where is this going to put him out? Oh, intriguing stuff. Now, what tyres are we going to see when the drivers come out of pit lane?
My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I believe I'm a lap ahead of myself right now. But that strategy is going to be important. And where are they coming out in comparison to Berryman? Berryman's got himself ahead then of Johan Hart, but he is still behind Costantini. So there is Van Lozenoord on the screen. He's trying to make as much of a charge as he possibly can. That is on screen Peter Berryman right now, and he has got to absolutely go like lightning because Johan Hart has got those tyres pretty much going immediately. He's not going to go make a move, not this stage, not those 2 teammates in towards the Della Roja. So it's patience play right now. Lemonek, also very crucial here, Kenneth, got ahead of Ben Fuller.
Yeah, it was a nice switch of position there to enter into the top 5 for him in Lemonek. But you talk about patience. For this team's, patience is going to be key because obviously there's another stop to go before we end this race as you watch a driver come down pit road. It is going to be a matter of how long you're going to be able to wait until you go down pit road, especially when you have teammates with you, and how you can play the strategy to the end. We saw hard tires on the main leaders, but that's not to say that mediums won't be used by these guys anytime soon, especially when we get to the final laps and the final 13, which will most likely be the stint that they will go through. So for them now, it's all about riding around, logging these laps, waiting to the next stop.
Well, here they come along. Van Lozenoord leaving the pits, has no issues with the pits this time, but where are the leaders? Costantini's charging. You've got to get up to speed here very quickly. It's a big braking zone. It's going to be a huge battle here, side by side, but Costantini's going to get there, but crucially, Berryman has been leapfrogged in the train, so Van Lozenoord jumps up to 2nd position then with that pitting strategy. That's there is what you would call, Peter, a wonderful overcut.
Yeah, perfectly done there from Martin Van Lozenoord, but the leading group, after all those different strategies, they're more or less all in the same position. Incredible. The execution from all of these teams to be able to do that. I have to say, a bit of a throwback there to Verstappen and Hamilton, but these guys managed to get their way through there with Van Loozenhoorn coming out of the pit lane. Now, what I want to mention, tyres. The front group have all started on hards and they have changed to a fresh set of hard tyres again. However, Sam Coiter, he's the man to watch on strategy. Started on mediums and he's thrown on another set of mediums. So, and he's making his way forward, lapping very, very quickly. A 1 minute 21.1 right now. So the Dutchman, the karting champion, he is the man to watch.
Certainly is right now. He's on the back of Przemysław Lemonek, and he'd like to get through pretty quickly at this stage. We look at the lead group though, because here comes Peter Berryman. Now this is interesting. Look at this. They go down the straight. Costantini has gone all the way to the right hand side. He was trying to give as much help as possible to Berryman to make the move, but Van Loozenhoorn was alert to that. We just shuffled off and said, you're not taking that draft, I'll have half of it, and half was pretty much enough. On the bottom of your screen, the battle for 12th position going on. Yarten versus David Toth, and it looks like the wannabe sim racing team car is going to be sat right behind in fuel-saving mode by Yarten.
It's a nice move by these guys in draft. Again, just like we've said at the top of the show, it is so crucial when you want to make strategy work. And I talked with Martin Van Loozenhoorn yesterday in the driver's meeting. He told me jokingly that he was going to make 18 laps on fuel. He actually did it. Actually saved enough fuel by clutching and hanging in the draft that he was able to make 18 laps. So I don't think he was joking at all when he told me just maybe throwing the competition off at that stage. But it's a nice battle between the drivers up front in the draft. And then, of course, David Toth, who had an issue on lap 1. It's a nice recovery for him as well.
Certainly is a nice recovery, and we're seeing here just how important this race is. They're fuel saving so much. They just built a gap there, Peter, of a group of 4 and a group of 4. It's now a group of 8 again.
Yeah, that we haven't seen that really since lap 1 now, so they're all wedged right together, but more changes of position in this phase of the race. You can see the drivers popping out of the draft and going by, and that's Berryman going past Van Loozenhoorn as well, so he's decided, Peter Berryman, the man from Northern Ireland, thought, right, I'm going to get to the front and I'm going to keep with my, my dancing partner, Michele Costantini.
And look behind as well. Kajter's trying to get past Lemonek here. They were side by side off of the exit. And as we just look at the battle here for second and third, you can see in the back of shot, the move is done. Lemonek now behind Sam Kajter, who has moved himself up into 6th place with that pass. So that's crucial. You've got Berryman now up to 2nd. Kajter now up into 6th. And you feel now, Kenneth, that this is the time that if you're going to make moves and get yourself into track position, we're nearly at the halfway stage. That'll be coming along in a lap and a half's time. This is the moment you want to start making moves, getting yourself into position for those final pit stops.
Indeed it is, Jake. And you talk about Sam Kajter in the 28, making this call on the mediums. Well, he's being aggressive right now, so you say it. Exactly when the moves need to be made, it's going to be now, because Kajter on the mediums, he was kind of on the oddball at the latter half of the top 10, but then made this call, cycled back in the right place, and if he can make these moves early, that means he can set himself right for the second stop, maybe in control of this race.
Well, let's get a little look then at our biggest mover and shaker in this race, and there is that driver, Florian Lebigre, started at the back as he's gone up plus 15 positions as they battled for 3rd position. In the meanwhile, there's a little look then as he goes through and make that 16 because he's through on Tamas Simon. This is the group chasing the leading pack at this moment. They are about 3.5, 4 seconds back of this group at the moment, so a little bit of work to be done for Florian, but they're still changing in the fight for 3rd. Van Loozenhoorn defending hard through the Dallara as he just about, Peter, holds on to 3rd place. He's costing himself a lot of time at this moment here as Johan Haaf looks to get aggressive to try and stay with the driver he's equal with on championship points and his teammate Peter Berryman.
This is how busy it gets for Martin Van Loozenhoorn. He is absolutely surrounded by Apex Racing Team drivers, whether they're in the white and blue, the official colours of Apex Racing Team, or the sister team, SDK Gaming. He is absolutely outmanned at the moment, and you can see Costantini and Berryman absolutely in a formation trying to pull away, and Haaf, well, he's the rear gunner, and he's basically causing the problems for Van Loozenhoorn, so he's got to keep his eyes everywhere. So it's a little bit easier for the Apex guys, but we don't know what to expect really from Ben Fuller as well. He's managed to pull his way back up there as well, and don't count out Sam Coiter, the medium tyre driver. He's now in there as well and with the fastest lap of the race.
Oh, it's getting so congested here as they go through. Hearth with a half look down the inside doesn't quite work. Fuller in fifth is trying to keep everyone else behind in that pack at bay so that Hearth can have a clean attack here on Van Lozenoord. And it was so interesting again, Kenneth, to see what those drives were doing in the front two. The moment they saw and heard that Hearth, as the fast lap driver here, is number 28, Sam Kuiter at this stage. Here's a little look. Repping the Paris Saint-Germain shirt at this point in time, but he's looking to try and get himself through this middle sector, but he's just starting to reach that level here in 6th place, Kenneth, that his tyres might just start to fall off a little bit. He'll be looking behind.
Yeah, he will, at some point near the end of this stint, by the time the leaders will come down pit road, his tires are going to start to fall off. But in the draft, he can probably play the game a little bit better. I know he's going to be a little bit slower over the long run, but again, if he can keep himself in a slipstream and just hang in with these guys instead of pushing so hard to the point where he would pretty much overburn his tires, then he could be in a good spot to maybe save the rubber a little bit more and then maybe make the maximum of the mediums, which will most likely, by the trends that he's taken so far, be the tire that he takes in this last stint.
Definitely looks like it could be the case. Berryman in aggressive lift mode, and Van Lozenoord is going to take himself from third to first in the blink of an eye. He takes the race lead away. Now that is so interesting there. Costantini and Berryman saw the mega run that Van Lozenoord was going for, and someone's gone straight on there through the chicane. That doesn't look good at all, and that, I believe, will be Przemysław Lemonek potentially there, who was in a bit of trouble. There was a huge check up there through the middle, and in fact, it got turned, and I believe we've got a car out there as well. Marcus Jensen's out of the race here, Peter.
Yeah, they're just all checked up there. I think they weren't quite expecting Martin Lozenoord to go for the lead of the motor race, and that did just cause a domino effect. And really, yeah, Lemonek was a driver who came off worse from that, and indeed Marcus Jensen as well. So we'll get a replay of that, I'm sure, because it was a pretty big pile-up at that turn one switchback.
That was the one thing we were a little bit cautious about here today, the fact that drivers could be running themselves into trouble as they bottleneck up into corners. We saw it, of course, at Spa-Francorchamps on lap 2 of that race, but it's now a case of what can you do. Van Lozenoord here in the lead as we're going to get ourselves a look of the overtake here, which got Van Lozenoord to the race lead. You can see he's trying to get this mega slingshot into position. Peter Berryman already knows when he needs to lift, and Costantini, well, he had to do exactly the same thing. Saw down the inside Van Lozenoord was going for the move. Third to first, just like that. You're seeing the background of shot at just the wrong time, just cut away at the wrong time. The instant there between Lemonek and Jensen caught out those two drivers, both of whom either way down the order or now out of position in this race. It won't do too many problems at all for Tamas Shimon and Florian Lebegra at this stage, Kenneth. They really have profiteered from that. They're now 7th and 8th.
Yeah, it's a nice jump from these guys as there goes Mark Lemonek down pit road based on the damage that he got. He said that his race is practically over for him with 20 laps to go. We'll see if he can try and maybe rebirth a run at the race lead, or at least some amount of position. We'll take a look at a replay from the wreck from earlier. This was about turn 1. You'll watch this replay right about here. Jensen on the backside of all of this. They check up heavily into the first corner. There's Lemonek right there. Check up with the 28 of Sam Kuiter, and then a big hit by Jensen to the 12. Lemonek was able to get out of harm's way, but for Jensen, that is pretty much effectively race over for him. A big stack up, which again refers to what you said about Tamas Shimon and Florian Lebegra gaining all these positions.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that's going to be giving them a lot of points. It shows that sometimes it's not about where you qualify, it's how adaptable you can be through the race, and it certainly has paid its point at this stage. Now, I want to keep an eye here on Sam Kuiter here at this moment in time, Peter. I think he's the most interesting driver of this group, has the fastest lap of the race so far, but we expect him to be the first to come in. If he comes in on the hard compound tyre, goes aggressive, we saw how he clawed back a 3-second margin to be with the leading group. Could he leapfrog everybody here today and take the lead and try and hold on with the tyres?
I think that's certainly a possibility, Jake. I do think, though, that Sam Coitert may have had to burn more fuel than these front runners on the hard in that group that they've formed all race long. I do think that's the only thing that might be playing in Coitert's, well, to his disadvantage. The only thing is he's making that medium tyre work. He's fast. He's lapping in the late 120s now, so he's really flying. But it's so too hard to say at this point. If he's managed to save enough fuel while he's been in the group, who knows?
Who knows is what we love here about racing as we go through and look at these challenges. The top 5, top 6, all looking good. Here's a little look then on board. A very shaky camera for Matteo Ugolotti, the TQ Engineering car. Last car on the leading lap right now, Kenneth, down in 18th, about 2 seconds to Cedric Beale.
Yeah, he's got a lot of ground to make up, and possibly this second to last stint will be maybe the savior for a lot of these guys near the rear of the field, including Matteo Ugolotti. You talk about guys like Cedric Beale in the 77, and obviously Lemonek, who had that damage from that earlier incident we saw. So it's not necessarily a reset, but it's possibly just a rebound, as you would call it. Right on board with Henkel, another driver further near the rear of the field, who's also trying to take some positions away.
3 laps down, he'll get past Marcus Jensen's 12, but I'm not sure he's going to go that much further in points. He's going to have a long, long road if he's going to get there, but give credit to him. Wants to try and finish every race he possibly can as the leading group make their way past the Seraglio and now into Ascari here. The left, the right, and the left. They're traveling at some incredible speed. Through that final left there, Peter, they're traveling at 250 kilometers an hour, and that in cars which have such great downforce is just incredible.
Oh, it's wonderful. What an amazing creation iRacing and Dallara have done together. I mean, Dallara have been making incredible race cars since the early 1970s, and Mr. Dallara, he's worked for all the big Italian marques. Started his career with Ferrari, then he went to Maserati, then Lamborghini, then De Tomaso, and then started up his own eponymous firm, which of course thrives to this day. And yeah, this I'm sure Mr. Dallara is very proud of this creation.
I'm pretty sure he would be, as well as the leading group now with Van Lozenoord on the front. He'll be using a lot more fuel in this stint than he would have done in the first one, where he was very happy and content just to sit behind and wait. They go into the Rogier. Everyone behind has that ability to go and save. Behind him, it goes like this: SDK, Apex, Apex, SDK, Costantini, Berryman, Hart, Fuller. At this point in time, you could argue here at this stage, Kenneth, were it not for the issues on race 1 at Watkins Glen, Michele Costantini could easily be leading this championship.
He easily could, and with the win that he captured at Spa, with the performances that he's carried, to put himself that high in the standings and to tie himself so far, at least with the top runners in Peter Berryman, Johan Hart, for the point standings, the consistency is mattering here right now for Costantini. If he can continue to build these runs up, even if it's not just stacked on race wins, he can gain enough points to challenge these guys, challenge these other Apex Racing Team teammates, and be able to surge ahead in the later stages of the race, which are already almost halfway through.
Yeah, we are well over halfway through, actually. We got ourselves a number of laps to go, 16 of them, in fact, as we got ourselves a lot moving forward. So here is Hart going through, trying to get things done. But Peter, you know, this is all about continuous rotation. It's the same thing that we talk about as well when it comes to force dynamics, as we get a good look at things. You can see the mirrors as well, actually. I want to talk to the mirrors first before we talk about what's moving forward. Those mirrors are at an incredible angle. You get to see so much, but you do get a look at that, and it's very, very different to what you'd see on any other car.
Yeah, I think that's the freedom that's been available as well with this Dallara IR01, starting with a blank sheet of paper and creating the ultimate single-seater racing car. And I think that's exactly what iRacing and Dallara have done. I mean, a screaming V10, you can never go wrong with that. Up to nearly 20,000 RPM. You can see it there on the dashboard in the top left of it as well. And the best way to get the most out of the experience of iRacing and this Dallara IR01 is with a Force Dynamics simulator setup as well. The folks based just outside of Watkins Glen make the best motion simulator in the world, with some incredible technology, true G-force replication, continuous rotation, and a high rotation center as well. It's amazing stuff. Get on their website, Force Dynamics, and have a look at what they can do. You'll be blown away.
And if you've been keeping an eye on how much time's been going back, and that is Keiter coming into the pitch. You were just about to mention that.
Yeah, Sam Keitel in the 28 machine. He's coming down pit road this time by. Was okay with the mediums, but decided to fuel save near the end. And the team told him, hey, pit this lap or pit soon. He decides to pit this time by. He's going to switch, I believe, to the hard tires here on this compound. So Keitel is making the different call for medium, hard to end this race with about 15 laps to go. And here he comes off of pit road.
Yeah, and the key now is going to be how he unlocks as we focus on the front five, the fantastic five at this point, going through the first of two Lesmo corners here in the middle of the circuit. The second one on the left-hand side is the golf course over there. So hopefully nobody's going to be going four left like they were on the opening lap of this race. There's still that charge, though, and Van Loozenhoorn, you would say, at this point of the race, Peter, is in the worst possible position, leading.
Yeah, he certainly worked hard to get that lead, but how much benefit was there? Maybe he just wanted to stay out of trouble. I mean, we saw what happened behind him, of course, so maybe that was his thinking. Maybe he was happy with the fuel number that he'd hit, but we should see these drivers coming down pit lane within the next lap or two, and I would suspect they will throw on medium tyres. They've made the hard work very well over a 17-lap stint. We've got one taker, Johan Harth. Okay.
Now, this is important. They're going to send Harth as the guinea pig. He was third in the train. Florian Lebegra as well is going to dive into the pit along with. So these two making the call then here as we go on to lap 30 of 43. They're going to leave themselves a 13-lap stint to try and get what they want. So Johan Hart's got to get as much as possible. It's now 4 to the group, and it's going to be a good little bit of clawing back on here, you'd say, Kenneth, from Ben Fuller. He profiteers from Harth pitting.
He does, but he's going to most likely stick with these guys, Jake, by the time we get to the final laps of this race, because he's kind of been following this group ever since the start. So we saw Johan Harth on a split, but these guys in the main group, including Fuller, have been kind of in a cluster going down pit road. Not sure if this is going to be the next time by that they'll go down pit road. We'll just have to see, but this will be the call that'll cycle everybody back together.
I tell you what, this would also have been a call to cover off Sam Keitel at that same time. It's 2 seconds. Let's have a little watch then as they follow on through onto that penultimate straight, going over towards the Curva Alboreto, the final corner on that track, renamed this year after legendary driver Michele Alboreto, through the big long right. And there's going to be questions about who comes in. Now it's Peter Berryman's turn. They're going to file them in one at a time here, Peter.
Yeah, they're all taking their turn, so they've got the whole of Monza pit lane to themselves. So Peter Berryman, the joint championship leader, comes down pit lane. What can he do as well as Costantini goes past Van Loozenhoorn here? So does he want to do a hammer time lap? I mean, the pace has dropped off quite a bit over the last few laps. They've been running about half a second slower. So I guess just trying to hit those fuel numbers absolutely perfectly. But from then on, that near contact as well as Van Loozenhoorn goes back again. This is going to slow these drivers right down and really play in the favour of Berryman, who'll be delighted not to be involved in this as well as they come out of pit lane. Oh, dearie me.
Yeah, Berryman's going to be ahead here of just about holds it together there going through. That's Johan Harth we're on board with right now, and the chase very much on with those drivers. Costantini wanted the lead. Van Loozenhoorn said, absolutely not, I will have that back. But this is the crucial stage now where they will cycle with those pit stops. We know that track position can be key coming into the pit. And I think a lot of these drivers want it. Costantini's trying to angle here to get to the inside, thinking about it all the way. He's not going to get it. Van Loozenhoorn taking that wider arc through the corner, doing enough. And Costantini's had enough playing games. He's coming into the pits here, Kenneth.
I think now what you're going to see, Jake, is just the individual preferences to go for this race win. Earlier in that first stop, we saw everybody, mostly the Apex Racing and SDK Gaming cars, going in all together. This time, they're all going separately, lap after lap after lap. So this is more so about getting this race win, being there up front at the end, rather than just trying to hang in with the group and save as much as possible. Now the question arises, though, Jake, where does Martin Van Loozenhoorn and Ben Fuller go down pit road? Are they going to go together, or are they, again, going to go separate just like everybody else is as Michele Costantini goes out of pit road? Those are hard tires on that machine.
They are, and that, as you can see going by, is Peter Berryman and Johan Harth. So the undercut working to the tune of 2 laps. So all of that, you know, Mickey Mousing playing about has not been paying off there for Michele Costantini. He's got to do the work now on track. There are no pit stops left to save. These are the two that are yet to pit. We expect them to funnel out near the back of the train then, you would say, Peter, at this stage. But surely now, knowing that those drives ahead, you've either got to go to the fuel mode and go to mediums, or now is the time that you go aggressive and go on another set of hard compounds. We haven't seen drivers go to the mediums so far today. Fuller's going to go in. I think Van Lozenoord here wants medium tyres at the end.
I think even Fuller can go for mediums if he wants to. 12 laps to go. Sam Kuijter has proven that you can do that. And I think we could see a split of tyre compounds in the top group. A mistake for Van Lozenoord. This has been a disastrous few laps for the Dutchman over the last few laps, coming into that crucial part of the pit stops. And this could cost him a chance for victory. A little bit of interference there with the lap car as well, maybe took his attention, but he's going to need those medium tyres to catch up as Ben Fuller comes out of pit lane. All of the Apex and SDK cars on exactly the same strategy. Hard, hard.
Oh no, he's actually, wow, that's incredible. Ben Fuller has decided, I'm not going to go side by side with any of them. He had the right to fight for the race win. He has actually backed off of it into that section, Kenneth, and has put himself in 4th place.
This may be, Jake, a call for the last handful of laps. We've seen over the past couple of races that these passes for the win have been made within 5 laps to go. So I believe Ben Fuller was just saying, okay, turn 1 is probably not going to be the best place to go side by side and lose a lot of time to the guys like Martin Van Lozenoord who are still out on the racetrack. I want to stay behind, get as much draft as I can, and then push all the way to the end.
That might be what we're seeing. In comes Van Lozenoord then. That is a huge, huge decision. How much has over-clambering the curb at the Rettifilo cost Martin Van Lozenoord over the course of this stint? We know he was aggressive, maybe slightly distracted by, I believe, Jorge Martinez it was. He was trying to get by at the time. And now it's about Berryman and the train, the 2 Apex cars, the 2 SDK gaming cars, looking to make that chase. Van Lozenoord is out of the pits right now, making that charge down the line. And Berryman is trying to give as much as possible. Can Van Lozenoord get up to speed quick enough here to cover off the move? Here comes Berryman on the run in towards the opening section of track. He's not going to get there. Van Lozenoord has done enough here to make it happen. And crucially, what tyres is he on? He's also on a set of hards. He didn't want to risk the mediums.
Wow, that's amazing. So we've seen all 3 stints, hard tyres for these drivers. And weirdly, Monza is not a circuit which, you know, you're asking a lot of the tyre, and indeed track temperatures aren't that high either. So it's fascinating, guys, that all of the top drivers going for the hard tyres, because that wasn't the strategy in Interlagos 7 days ago.
No, it certainly wasn't, and it's these changes that you see in strategy for different tracks. They're all trying to find what the right call is, but Martin Van Lozenoord has come back out with the race lead once again. He'll have Berryman, Hath, Costantini and Fuller all to deal with their 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Sam Kuijter as well will have to be careful in this one. Kenneth in the 2nd group, because Florian Lebigra and Tamas Shimon have been working really well in that 2nd stint to get back to them.
Yeah, that's the problem for the number 28 machine, is the fact that he just doesn't have the slipstream to catch up with all the leaders, although he is on hard tires like the top 5 are right now. And here's a move so far for the race lead. Peter Berryman to the inside of the 69 of Van Lozenoord. Will the move work? He's going to duck back out. Van Lozenoord's going to stay in the lead for now.
They didn't want to risk it too wide, at least not just yet here in this race. We've still got ourselves 9 laps to figure out a victor at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza here in Monza's Royal Park, just 9 miles away from the city of Milan in northern Italy. And now the question becomes, at what point does Berryman want to go for it? Van Lozenoord, you will feel at this stage by the amount of work, Peter, in the first 2 stints that he fuel saved, has brought himself that race lead by having to stay with less time on the lane.
Yeah, Martin Van Lozenoord is really pushing now. We can see him getting loose on the corner exit there as well. So he's desperately trying to break away from Peter Berryman. That is so difficult with that draft, but the better he can protect himself through the mid part of the track, very much important to do that as well. We've got Martin on the left-hand side there, Peter Berryman on the right, and those are 2 very different faces. You see Martin, he looks tense. He looks very, very hyped at the moment, whereas Peter Berryman, I think he's maybe got some classical music on in the background there. He looks so calm.
Maybe so, but we don't have that information. It looks like Van Loosenoord lives and dies by the machine, and here comes Peter Berryman with a look. Going to go to the inside, and he's going to try and go for it late. He has it covered. He moves into the race lead. The one thing now you've got to be careful of if you're Martin Van Loosenoord is where does Peter Berryman place his car? Because the moment that he decides to place it, in fact, no, he's going to come straight back here. He's going to come straight back through Curva Grande. Incredible move. Van Loosenoord's just pulled the exact same move there, Kenneth, he did on Michele Costantini just before the stops.
This is what we call full send mode. Martin Van Loosenoord back away. We haven't really seen passes in that section of the track, Jake, all race long, but Martin Van Loosenoord said, all right, I've got the draft. I am surging ahead, and I am not letting you or any of the Apex Racing cars take advantage of this. The winner at Watkins Glen to start off the season with an aggressive move towards Ascari.
And remember, he did so exactly the same way at Watkins Glen. He went from third to first in the final 2 laps, Peter. This is slightly different, but he's looking to try and do exactly the same again. Get aggressive, make the moves when they count, and get himself into the prime place to attack this race.
Well, this is what it's all about. This is what we come to see. No fuel saving, no dithering about. This is no tire management really necessary in this situation. This is all about who's the cleverest and who's going to come out on top as we ride on board with Johan Harth as well. And here comes Berryman. He's going to have a look down into the first chicane. Can he get it done clean? Martin Van Loosenoord very late on the brakes. Oh, dearie me. That's the same line his countryman took, and that had a slightly different outcome.
Slightly did, but ultimately, they're okay. They all get through and they all give each other the space and the room necessary here in the final stages. There has been a change for 6th place, and it's Florian Lebegra who has got through on Sam Keitert. So that is a change there, up and a staggering 19 places today as the O2 machine gone. He has been flying through this one, but the top 5 is where our focus is. It's where this race is going to bring its conclusion, and I think you've got to rethink the strategy here, Kenneth, if you are Berryman, if you are Harth, because it looks like Van Loosenoord, every which way you try and manufacture that move, he's got something for it.
That's the thing here with these Dallara IRO1s and the fact that we talked about slipstream earlier on. When you make a pass, there's other long straightaways across this track that the drivers can pretty much just get back at you and go around you once more. So I feel like if you're Berryman or Harth in this case for the Apex Racing team, you may want to try and make a duo work together so that you can force Martin Van Loosenoord into a sandwich and then probably pressure him to make worse moves and then get him a little bit slower lap and lap by. But remember, there's only about 5 laps left in this thing, Jake, so things need to be made done as Berryman goes to the outside.
Outside this time, but again, it doesn't work. So he's been having a look, and Van Loosenoord's been getting really good drives there out of the Retafilo that has been giving him enough of a run towards the Roggia through Curva Grande. And this is something else they're going to have to be keeping in mind. The 2 cars who are in front, Cedric Beale here, Peter, and Omar Bahar in front of that in the 5. Those 2 cars could be huge in deciding how this race is won and lost.
They absolutely could, Jake, that's for sure. And also, keep an eye out for Florian Lebeger. He is charging right now with the top guys in front, swapping places all the time. They're lapping much slower than they were earlier in the race. Florian is lapping 0.8 of a second quicker than this front group. At the moment, he's about 5 seconds, so he might just come up short, but Florian Lebeger is going to be much closer to this podium challenge than he might have otherwise thought.
55 of Ben Fuller right now has the fastest lap bonus point in his back pocket. That will give him 1 extra championship point there in 5th place. He is 5th in the championship coming into this one. Van Loosenoord, though, knows he's in an unenviable position. It's the final 5 laps now here at Monza, and here comes the move from Berryman again. He'll be forced to wait to the outside because Van Loosenoord's leaving it mighty late to go through. They'll have traffic in front on the exit here. That's not going to do too much favours. That's Omar Bahar who peels off to the left-hand side, gets out of the way of this group, and ultimately they are allowing Peter Berryman, who leads the championship, to try and do the most amount of damage here right now, Kenneth, against Martin Van Loosenoord.
I think the problem here, though, if you're guys like Johan Harth or Costantini or Fuller in this group, is the fact that the top two, they're not starting to spread themselves away. At one point, they were all clustered in together, but it seems as though Martin van Lozenoord and Peter Berryman are just starting to kind of switch themselves off into another zone. So now they're in the top two.
Oh,
the other one's close enough to make a move, but nobody else is. As lap traffic will approach, Berryman to the inside. Not going to look it through here through Ascari. Too dangerous in that part of the track.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the place to get it done. That wasn't the time and the place to make the move. Maybe on the last lap, yes, it can get a run through the Seraglio, but he couldn't find it. Brian Lockwood now has the fastest lap bonus point. That will give him 1 point. He's 13 laps down. He's got nothing else to race for at this stage in the race. 4 laps now left, and again, Van Lozenoord's going to have to look. Berryman's got a much better run. There's lap traffic in front, so that will be worth keeping in mind, but they will go pretty much wheel to wheel on the run into the Rettifilo, and again, Van Lozenoord's able to defend. I tell you what, he is putting on one of the great defensive drives in Grand Prix racing history on iRacing. Here comes Berryman again to the outside, though. This time through Curva Grande, he's trying to unlock the Rogia. Oh, they almost interlock wheels, and now, finally, it has to be unlocked. Berryman's got the lead. Wow.
What a move there from Peter Berryman. He set that one up really nicely. And Martin van Lozenoord, he's brave. You know, you see him riding his Yamaha R6 out on the street. He's a brave boy. But, yeah, he decided to just dick out of that one. And, oh, well, it looks like Peter Berryman might just pull... Well, he's looking to try and pull away here. But what's this bit of lap traffic going to do?
And look at this, here comes Harth trying to look for the inside. Not going to work. They boxed in Martin van Lozenoord. All of a sudden, Berryman's got a gap here. They are getting really, really feisty here. Martin knows that he has effectively got himself in the wrong kind of alleyway in this sort of fight. Cedric feels the next bit of traffic in front. They'll have 3 laps to go, but Van Lozenoord here is... At one point was trying to hold on to the win. Now I reckon he's trying to fight for a podium. Here comes Hart. He's going to go to the outside trying to get it done. But the issue is, where do you follow the draft? Van Lozenoord's done enough right now to defend. He's got to get up to Berryman and attack here, Kenneth. He's got no other options left.
He's going to have to try, but this is exactly what I mentioned. Apex Racing can sandwich Martin van Lozenoord, eat him for Italian dinner. Van Lozenoord now just a little bit slower with Harth, trying to put on the pressure. I think he's got a bit of a break this time by, but if that continues to happen, then there is no chance for Van Lozenoord to even get remotely close to Peter Berryman in the last stages of this race.
Got himself back into range. That's a crucial point. You can see there in the back of shot as well. Keitel, Lebegra, and Simon. They are all changing positions. Keitel now up into 6th. He was 8th going on to the start of that lap, and they actually went 3 wide for the overtake. So Keitel knows as well he's in a race. But these drivers right now, Berryman, Van Lozenoord, Harth, Costantini, and Fuller, they know what they're there to try and get. Let's also not forget here, Peter, at this stage, Johan Harth has not finished off the podium this season. At this stage, he's looking like 4 in 4.
Yeah, that's the Johan Harth style. He's just so steady, does not make many mistakes whatsoever. But he'll want to go try and depose Martin van Lozenoord here and try and push him down and take points away from the RAT Esports driver. He's going to go all around the outside. Johan Harth, maybe I was calling him Mr. Steady Eddie. Now he's going to go for the big move into turn 1.
My goodness me, that could have been disaster at any given point in time. Harth knew exactly where that machine was. We look behind from Berryman, in front now with Van Lozenoord. Oh my goodness, that could have been disaster, Kenneth. Johan Harth knew what he wanted, and Van Lozenoord is waiting for lap 43 to get it done.
These drivers have stone cold in their veins. They are just trying all that they can, Jake, to go for a move, especially in turn 1 where you can try the best that you can, but it is still, again, the fight between Van Lozenoord and Johan Harth, which is only stalling Peter Berryman's run all the way to the finish. So turn 1 is really the only place they can make it happen. That's exactly how brave they've been, and Van Lozenoord gonna look into Ascari, but not gonna have the move as Johan Harth creeps by.
Now it's Przemysław Lemonek with the fastest lap point in 14th position. That'll be crucial later on in this one. Van Lozenoord all over the back on the back stretch. They move to the Curva Alboreto. Is there a lunge there from one Mr. Johan Harth? There is not. just yet. There is not just yet. But Van Loozenhoorn, this is the prime place if he can get it done. I don't think Hearth is close enough as the white flag lap starts then. Here, look at that. Weaving left, right, centre, outside goes Martin Van Loozenhoorn, and he's going to move himself to the point. But Peter, he's still got to be wary about bends in the final stages of this lap.
Has he gone too early? We won't know until we get to that last straight down towards the Alboreto curve. But Martin Van Loozenhoorn has the track position now, but here comes Berman, looking back at Peter Berman right now in the number 50 car. Van Loozenhoorn goes to the defensive line. He holds very, very firm and just keeps the Apex Racing driver behind. Good defensive work there from Van Loozenhoorn.
I tell you what, this is a race for the ages right now. Van Loozenhoorn has got himself half a lap to hold through Lesmo 2, through the Seraglio, this small kink left which leads underneath the old oval banking. Johan Hearth now has got to give everything he can as well. He was all over the back of Berryman there. They've got to get up close. The Curva Alboreto might be the final place. It gets it done. Van Loozenhoorn, you can see his facial expression has not changed at all over this. He's trying to weave. He's trying to break that toe as much as he can. Berryman's trying to shadow. It's serpentine mode as they head to the Alboreto. Has Van Loozenhoorn done enough? We have to hold our breath as they get there. Van Loozenhoorn getting nice and narrow off the exit. That is an amazing defense. Van Loozenhoorn has the biggest smile on his face as he wins at Monza. My goodness me, what a classic.
What a finish, guys. Holy, the fact that they were all over the track for every position, and Martin Van Loozenhoorn, under all that pressure, under that pass from Peter Berryman, was able to take it back and plays defense to win this race, second win this season.
Yeah, you can see there was a little bit of contact there between Van Loozenhoorn and Costantini after the line there. So definitely there, a little bit of oops, but what a battle that we had there. And let's have a look at this final lap. Now, this is the key to Van Loozenhoorn's overtake there in the Predator Gaming car. He knew he had to get past Berryman here, otherwise it was going to be a very tall order to get it done. Berryman looks low, looks to try and break that toe away, and look at that, he sent him the wrong way, wanted to go to the outside, took the path of least resistance there, Peter, and from there, it was just a margin of defending. He still had to do the work as we'll look at the entire lap, but it's this defense here at the Roggia which I think won the race.
Yeah, two absolutely world-class corners. Peter Berman made it as difficult as possible there going into turn one, but Van Loozenhoorn just called his bluff and held firm into that second chicane. And well, we did see a little bit of weaving down the front straight, and I think that set the precedent. And well, Martin Van Loozenhoorn took that precedent up and was weaving pretty aggressively on the back straight there as well. But all is fair in love and war, as they say.
All is fair in love and war, and you can see here Berryman really lost a lot of ground in that middle sector, hadn't been running behind in draft for a long time, but then he got the drive that he wanted out of that section, and then you can see on screen just how much weaving there is just to try and break away that toe. Hearth could have gone for second position if he wanted to, ultimately decided to fall back into formation, knows that there's a long way still to go in this championship. That marks 1/3 complete in that, and Martin Van Loozenhoorn, an incredible victory coming to the line, taking the W here today. And not only that, is stood by with Kenneth Bueno, who's going to talk with our race winner today.
Here with the winner in round 4, Martin Van Loozenhoorn. And what a race that was all the way to the end, Martin. You had the overcut. You joked in the yesterday how you were going to make 18 laps on a stint. You did it in the first stint. You overcut again in the second, and you play massive defense to win this race. I must assume that must have been nerve-wracking with the Apex Racing guys behind you, taking it every single step around this track.
Yeah, I mean, if you're behind 4 cars, it's so easy to sort of block me. So I had to make sure that I was just around P1, P2, and only had 1 car in front of me, basically, because otherwise I would have been I don't know, just stuck behind them, and you can make it too wide and you cannot overtake. So I tried my very best to defend those guys, and that's quite nerve-wracking, just like you said.
Well, coming into this race, you had a pit road speeding mistake last week at Interlagos, and you said that your pit limiter button didn't work. It put you on the 8 ball behind in that event. You come back here, and to win here against against all odds with the Apex Racing team behind you. What does this mean about your step towards a Dallara championship with this performance after what happened last week?
Well, of course, this one feels very good, especially after what happened last week. I didn't plan to finish 16th last week, so this one feels amazing, I have to say, and all the hard work paid off, thanks to my teammates. And yeah, you know, I'm honestly just not looking at the championship yet. It's still so long to go, and I just have I think it's going to be so close until the end. You know, it could, if everyone keeps finishing in the top 5, top 6, it could just all play around every race, and it's going to be very challenging to come out on top.
Well, a lot of momentum, Martin, coming out of this race. I think you can have yourself a virtual fine Italian dinner from this win here from Monza. Congratulations on this win. We wish you the best of luck moving to Silverstone next week.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Martin van Lozenor, the winner here from Monza on the last lap pass. We'll kick it back to second. Peter Berryman's caught up with our very own Peter Mackay.
Peter, welcome to the iRacing commentary box. That was quite a battle between you and Martin there. I mean, tell us about those last laps, because it was intense from our seat.
Yeah, pretty stressful from my point of view as well. Yeah, that was tough. I think we realized pretty quickly coming into the last few laps that we probably didn't have the car in the straights to really challenge hard. It took me a lot of attempts to get the run on Martin, and even then it was still extremely difficult when I pulled out of the slipstream to get the move made. So I think we sort of knew coming into the last couple laps that it was really going to be a struggle with his straight line speed, and eventually that was sort of just the nail in the coffin in the end there. Couldn't really do enough to get at him in the last corner, and that was really it.
Now, I know, Peter, that you and the guys at Apex are fantastic at putting together a great race car setup. You mentioned there that it's just giving a little bit away on the top end. Was there other parts of the circuit where you had the edge on Martin with your setup?
Yeah, I think through the corners we had massive speed. I think the biggest one we noticed was the final corner, which I maybe had a little bit of hope going into the last turn that I might have been able to make something happen coming to the line, but yeah, I think it was pretty clear to see from our point of view that through the corners we definitely had the car, but lacked a bit on the straight, unfortunately.
Well, Peter, thank you very much for the very honest insight. A brilliant performance today. More points for the championship, and we wish you all the best of luck for Silverstone next week.
Thanks very much, man. See ya.
So now, handing over to third place, Johan Harth.
Here with the third place driver, Johan Harth for the Apex Racing team. And Johan, I think that finish was a classic here from Monza, and you were a part of it all. The top 5 clustered in together, and you had kind of the front row seat of the top 2 while trying to make moves of your own. Walk us through how that was behind the wheel.
Yeah, that was really crazy race. Crazy race with all 4 of us again up front. Really good race for the entire team, and yeah, unfortunately we couldn't stop Martin from winning, but yeah, that was a really awesome race. Well done to him.
And slipstream was such a big part of this race, Johan. A lot of these drivers were pretty much banking their entire strategies on how long they can stay in the draft. For you, how crucial was that, not only through the strategy portions of this race, but through the full racing portion of this race in the final 3 laps or so?
It was just the key to the race. You were saving fuel, you were getting your runs. That was all it was all about. That was the only thing it was about. Just timing your runs right to get the wrong people, because as you've seen at the end, was way too close to Martin, and as soon as I was pulling out of the draft, I wasn't going anywhere, and we were just riding too wide down the straight, and then he was keeping the position. So yeah, it was really interesting to race.
Nonetheless, an interesting race, a wild finish, and now you get to move forward in the championship hunt. You were tied going into this race. A third place is certainly going to give you a little bit of a boost. How much is that going to move forward into Silverstone and the rest of the races from your perspective?
Well, good races so far. 4 races, 4 podiums. So I'll try to keep the streak going. Silverstone is a really awesome track to race at with this car. So yeah, I'll try to make it 5-4-5.
We'll see if we can keep the hot streak alive. Congratulations, Johan, on the third place finish here from Monza. And of course, wishing you the best of luck when we go to England and Silverstone next week.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
That's Johan Harth, P3 for Apex Racing Team here from Monza.
Brilliant racing that we have seen. And that is the result you can see on screen. Martin van Loosenoord picking the win up by nearly 0.3 of a second over Peter Berryman. Johan Hath coming in third. That was the two STK gaming cars of Michele Costantini and Ben Fuller, fourth and fifth. Sam Kita won the battle between himself, Tamas Shimon, and David Toth towards the end with Jarl 10 and James Pinsker. A great top 10, a quiet top 10, we must say. On top of that, you can see Przemysław Lemonet getting up to 13th at the end. Florian Lebigra, I believe, going for fastest lap at the end, with Matteo Ugolotti finishing with 1 championship point in 15. A lot of drivers a lap down here today, the likes of Cedric Fiel, Omar Bahar, Andres Henkel, another one getting in trouble. Mandanak we saw get into a lot of trouble today, as well as Marcus Jensen. And then the big one at the start, which had the likes of Kane Halliburton caught up in that over at Lesmo 2 out there on track. But Peter, you know, this is where you start to put yourself into perspective. Second third of the season starts now. This is where you need to bring yourself into position. It's a tight championship right now. Getting great results and chaining them together gives you a ticket to the championship.
Yeah, it really is hotting up nicely as well. And you have to say, Martin van Loosenoord, what a job. He becomes our first multiple winner of the championship as well. So it's kind of him against the world, then the world being the Apex Racing team at the moment. What's going to happen in Silverstone? I can't wait to find out.
Well, that's 1 week from today. We'll be heading ourselves to this incredible home of sim racing, this incredible home, you could say, of motorsport Silverstone. And what a challenge it is going to be for all of those drivers. Make sure you tune in with us, same time, same place, where you are watching with us, of course, on iRacing Live, and of course, everywhere else you are catching all of the action. But from us here today at iRacing, from Kenneth Bueno, from Peter Mackay, from myself, Jake Sperry, it's been a pleasure to bring you all of this incredible action. This is where great sim racing happens. It was a case of one versus the machine, and it was going to be always a great scrap. Martin van Loosenoord has just worked an incredible race to get himself that victory, but there aren't always guarantees on the horizon. We will see you 1 week from now. Silverstone awaits everybody in what is truly a really, really entertaining championship.